Welcome to Eagles Haven Ministry. This is Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Fellowship. This is another exciting Shabbat that you have allowed us into your home and to fellowship. We thank you for all the chat, all the emails, and thank you for the people that watch us on the pre-recorded ones throughout Australia, South Africa, Uganda, and different parts of Africa, as well as China. And we don't even know sometimes what you're writing to us, but we thank you so much for the berikot you send us, the gifts, and the compliments to my wife's music. And we just thank you for this opportunity to welcome us into your home. Shabbat is a special covenant day. It's a feast day of the covenant of creation, the rainbow creation covenant of Noah and creation of Adam and Hawa on the earth. And it's the covenant of the earth. And the Abba has invited us to his Shabbat. And we're celebrating at his table. And we have an exciting teaching we're going to share about what is an elder. Is an elder because he's old? Is an elder because he's got a longer beard more than the next guy? Is an elder because his hair all white? Or is it just gray? You know, I'll never get white hair. My ancestors lived to 100 years old and they still got gray. It was a little black in it. So what is a real elder? We're going to go through the word. We're going to have an exciting time with you. So thank you for inviting us into your home and we can fellowship. You feel free to chat. Raise your little hand. And when people come in, don't let it bother you. This fellowship is free to come, free to go. There's some people fellowship in the morning somewhere in a Messianic congregation. They might come in late or they might leave early to go fellowship with somebody, or somebody might knock at your door. Hey, we want to fellowship. You might turn us off. That's okay. We're all Shabbat. We're having a great time this week. Brother, you want to greet the people?
Yeah, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So just to add to what brother was saying, the Shabbat and the name are very important to us. And we stress this in all of the videos about how the Shabbat is us being in, it's a sign of the covenant of us being in covenant with the Creator. So anybody who's doing Shabbat, you know that they're in covenant with the Creator. And the other thing is the name, that we are calling upon the name of Yahuwah, upon the rightful name of the owner of the Aretz and the Shamayim. So brother has an awesome teaching today, and I'm ready to learn. I'm sure you guys are ready to learn. And we ask you, Father, to be with us as we go throughout this teaching, Father, that everything will be done in your name, Father, and that the words that are spoken today will be from you, Father. We give you great esteem. Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Hallelujah. Now, if some of my old videos, because we got a lot of videos online, and all the way back 15 years, some of them. Some of our videos still have that, not Eliyahu channel.com, but eagleshavenministry.com, and a few others from Yahoo. Yahoo is discontinued our old website. It's gone. It's been wiped out. Apple, the cloud, ate it up. And to go back on, I buy it all new again. And I didn't have the money nor the time to spend $200 or $300 a month. We try to keep it in an economical balance. So we never beg. We work and we have our own budget to put things together. Some people did help me put money in the account, and I used it. Go to the Geek Squad, fix my computer, and I appreciate the people who did help me. That was in the vault actually for a month, waiting to be used. So it was there. When I ended up getting the repairs, it was already there. But some of my videos, some of the things work still, some of the things don't work. The yahoo.com still goes to Yahoo, but a lot of the clicks or the download things do not work because it used to belong to a different function. It was a free function, and also it used to cost me only like $60 a year. Now they're like $100 some a month. It's crazy, literally nuts what they charge you now. But we try to keep everything on economical status. But anyways, In the meantime, you want to say something, brother? I'm going to go to Zoom.
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick before we get started, but go ahead and go to that. I just wanted to say before we get started that we all have elders, even if you're an elder. If you're an elder, we all have elders. We all have different gifts. Okay, so I see brother as my elder, but I have gifts from the Father too, because I am truly I am a studier of the Word. You know, I'm constantly in the Torah. Even when I'm at work, I'm still in the Torah. So I know that in my walk there are people that I minister to. So and then there's people who minister to me also. So we all have people that we regard as elders. No one is above the you know, and if you're like at the very pinnacle, let's just say of knowledge, then Yahushua HaMashiach would be your elder, you know.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Still an elder above him. I always consider myself a baby. When I pray, I'm a teacher, but I'm not. I'm a learner, a studier. I'm a disciple of you. And we're never, you know, when you get it, like in the Christian community, these pastors, they call themselves apostles and bishops and all that. They act like they arrived. I don't get that.
But they're actually babies in their knowledge and their thinking. They're still going goo goo gaga. You know?
They're still calling them pagan names. They say when people die, they're going to the German place called heaven, you know,
right?
The leisure fields. And so it's like, but they think they're arrived. And part of it, I think, is lazy.
Right.
They don't want to continue to learn, research, because when we continue to learn and research, we say, oops, I made a boo-boo. I got to correct it.
They have been, like we were talking about before, they are in bondage. The trapper has entrapped them in this place where they cannot move forward with the name, in a place where they cannot do the Shabbat, in a place where they cannot research and learn the true names and the true name of Yahuwah and Yahushua HaMashiach and the true name of the Nebaim and all this. So they're caught in the snare. The trapper has ensnared them, and they're stuck in this Christianity place. They're stuck in this rabbinical place, or whatever, Catholicism, or whatever you want to call it. They are entrapped. And Yahushua HaMashiach is the redeemer of his people who are entrapped.
And it's not just Christianity; it's the Messianics.
Right.
They want to end up being converted to Judaism.
Right.
And renounce the name of Yahushua even.
And go right back into bondage.
Back into bondage.
I mean, just literally right back into bondage. You know, we've all had all these different desires. You know, I will fully admit that I really believe that the rabbinical Judaism was the way for me to go at first, until I saw what it was, and Yahuwah opened my eyes, and I had to humble myself, you know, and go back in another direction, because HaMashiach is the only way to the Father.
That's right. That's right. Hallelujah. So the first scripture we're going to go to, okay, as we prompt you, okay, is what is an elder? What does the word elder in English under it mean in Greek? What does it mean in Hebrew? So what we're going to do, we're going to go to 1 Timothy 5:17. You can read with us, or you can go in your translation. I'm going to go to King Imus because I'm going to use the Greek to show you some things, okay? And because, you know, you get people that they think, well, I'm the oldest one here. You got to respect me. I'm the oldest one. Well, age has nothing to do with it. We're going to learn, and if you have scriptures yourself that the Father has quickened you of things that were mentioned in the Brit Kadasha concerning elders, the Shelekim, the Shiliach, were going place to place, ordaining elders wherever they went. And you wonder, where did they come from? Well, hello, these were not churches. Circe did not exist in the writings. The Greek words, Kyrkion, Greek, or Circe in Latin. They were all schools, in English synagogues, they call it. The 7 iglesias of Asia Minor were all iglesias in Greek, which means set apart shuls. These were Yehudi congregations with a scroll that practiced the understanding of Torah and reading the books of Moshe.
Not the Talmud or the Mishnah, but the
No.
books of Moshe.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Thank you for putting that in.
Right.
The 7 ecclesias, called out assembly, were congregations that were Yehudi and had scrolls. They might have spoke Aramaic and Hebrew. They might have spoke Greek and Hebrew. They might have spoke Latin, Roman, and Hebrew, depending where they were of the diaspora, dispersed into. Now, I have a video on it. I'm not going to get into details. I have a detailed video. I don't think I have a part 2. It might be a part 1 or 2. It might be only part 1. It's been so long since I remember the total title. But it explains, if you were going to the 7 churches, they say, of Asia Minor in the book of Azon, Revelations, realize the word church did not exist. It was ecclesia, and it wasn't a Christian church. They were Yehudi, following the books of Moses. They had scrolls. They could either had read Hebrew and Aramaic, read Hebrew and Roman Latin, read Hebrew and Greek. Okay? They had many languages, depending where they were settled at in the diaspora, dispersed. Now, if we were to put, say, one of the Galatians, say, Galatians. Now, I'm not going to go into it because you can go to that video and get detail. I'm just going to share, brief it, break down the opening of elders. That, say you say Philippians or Ephesians. Ephesians is a pagan deity. That's right. The city of Ephesians, Ephesus, is named after the goddess Ephesus.
Yeah.
The city. Okay. It's dedicated to that pagan deity. So, did they take it out of the scriptures? No. They knew it's a pagan, but it's a Greco-Roman location. You can't change the name of it, or you're going to change the location of history. Bible, Biblos, was in Lebanon. It's the goddess Bela. Okay, it was in the city of Lebanon where they used the cedar, the Lebanese trees to peel off the bark and make paper. So it became books. The second Constantine changed the word, the goddess, to Biblos, meaning books, when it was really Isabella or Bella rules. Okay?
Hey, I just want to say something before you go any further.
Go on.
So you got to remember that when we read this in the Brit Hadashah, what brothers got to remember that that during these days, the Talmud and the Mishnah, as far as I know, the Rambams and all these guys who wrote all this stuff did not exist. So what you had was real Torah observant laws of Moshe. This is what they were reading, okay?
But it was starting orally.
Right.
It's called the Babylon Talmud.
Oh, yeah.
When they came home, and the Sephardic had the Jerusalem Talmud.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, it was a mixture of Babylon. That's why there's a lot of Babylonian words in the Tanakh, even in the Tanakh, because many of the books in Tanakh, in the scriptures of the writings of the Nabi, came from Babylon.
This is true. You're right.
The Second Temple.
Right.
And they brought a little bit of Babylon language. You know, that's the Talmud.
Yeah.
You know, Esther did not exist. Esther is not even in the Dead Sea Scrolls, the book of Esther. But they accepted rabbinical Jews because it came from Babylon.
Right.
It's the Babylonian story. Okay. So now, so these, now picture Galatians. Galatians means Galut. Galut, the word Galut for Galatians itself is not a pagan deity. It's where the Greeks took the Yahudi, captured them, and sent them there and dispersed them. It's called the diaspora. Diaspora, dispersion. They took them out of Jerusalem and placed them there, and they became Greek-speaking Yehudi, or as they say in English, Greek-speaking Jews.
Right.
Some were
Just like we have today. We have yeah, we have today. We have New York Jews, right? Jews from the
Yiddish,
speaking, and they speak English and they speak Hebrew.
but the Hebrew is German.
Right, but the Hebrew is German.
If you go where our ancestors come from, they speak Ladino,
Yeah, Ladino.
which
Yeah,
is the
Latin
Spanish
and
Hebrew.
right, the
And,
Spanish Hebrew.
It's an ancient language, it's very poetic. When they talk, they sing. You know, almost like ancient Spanish, huh, brother?
Right,
And the ancient Latin language, they sing when they talk. So Galatians, when you see the 7 Iglesias of Asia Minor in the book of Azon Revelations, and you pick one of them, there's 7, but in each one, there were 3 or 4 more congregations,
right,
because a Yehudi congregation can't be more than 2-mile walk during Shabbat.
right,
So when the population explodes and gets further out, they build another congregation. So they got a father, not mother church. That's Catholicism, not a mother churchy. That's Catholicism, Christianity, Catholicism. In Hebrew, it's male. So you got offspring from the Galatians. They had 4 other congregations spread out. So when Yehudi move more than 2 miles away, they're in walking distance within 2 miles to a new shul. Corinth is the same. Philippi is the same. All of them were the same. Ephesians saying they had more than one. So it's 7 times more. So there's more than that, just like 20 or 30 of them. But those were the main capital, sure. And they were never called churches. They were called iglesias. The set apart ones for the Messiah in a Jewish synagogue. You got that? They were all the 7 congregations, Asia Minor, were all synagogues or shuls. I use the word shul because synagogue is Catholic Latin. Okay? The Catholics call a shul synagogue. That's what they call it. That's what they call the temple. I don't use the word temple because that came from Egypt. In Israel, most of the time they don't use the word temple. They use shul or shiva. And it's a term for a place of learning. We're going to look at it. We're going to dissect it. And if you get quickened by the Ruach of any scriptures to add to it, please raise your hand and we'll wait for the spot to end and add that verse. You point it out, and we'll all explore this together. Okay? We're all learning. So now in this verse, he says, let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor. Now, this verse, when they say, let it be an elder that rules well, meaning he's like an apostolic or a shelakim, a superintendent, or someone is in the position of honor. It's not because he's old, not because he's got a long beard. Matter of fact, in rabbinical Judaism, they kind of got it messed up. They think the longer the beard, the more knowledge they have. But that's not scriptural, because if someone is a Kohani of the priesthood, a Kohani, a Kohan, according to the Levitical writings of right rule, he has to trim his hair and beard. He has to keep his beard and hair trimmed. Okay, that's why in Israel, when you see Sephardic, the Spanish or people from Morocco or from Iraq and Iran, they have trim beards. Their beard is more trim. Hair, they might have payot, some of them. Some don't even have a crown. Payot, the hair braided in the side, is called a crown, the honorable crown. Not for people to know you're serving as a priesthood, okay, or kohanim. So some of them don't even have that, but they're trimmed. The Sephardi, the Ashkenazi from Europe, they go around acting like if you got a real super long beard down to your second, third button of your shirt, that you're some super spiritual elder, right?
Right.
And that's not scriptural according to Leviticus, you know what I mean? Because they had to keep it trim and neat. Okay. And that way, well, this elder has to be double honored. But now, and that means he rules his wife, if she's still alive, his children and grandchildren. He's taught Torah to all generations, regardless if they backslide or stay. It's your children in Torah and the Torah, or your grandchildren. They could fall away, but you started them off right with a fundamental foundation, or they made their they made their mitzvot of circumcision. Of course, they were circumcised when they're babies, but they learned how to read in Hebrew and they were launched. If they fall away, you still did your duty all the way to your grandchildren. But let's look up the word in Hebrew, okay? So I'm going to click this word and we're going to go ahead and look at it. It's Greek word 4245. And what does it say? Well, Presbyterian. You ever heard of the Presbyterian congregation? Assembly? The Presbyterian Protestants use this word because in the original Latin Vulgate Bibles and the original Latin and Germanic, they use presbyteros, Presbyterians. These are elders that have showed a good report with their wives, their children, and grandchildren. So they have gone through ordination. Oil has been poured on them. Okay?
When the Father first brought me into this walk years and years ago, I began to read the Torah, and I began to read it in not just in English and Spanish, but in Hebrew, and to really understand and study each and every word to understand what it was saying. I was thirsty for knowledge, thirsty for truth, and I began to understand. Yahuwah put it in me to understand the Torah beyond my years, and I would witness to people that were older than me, and I would tell them exactly what the Torah says. And I had this one older gentleman sit down with me and said, "Look, come on, let me talk to you. Come over here. Let me tell you something." He goes, "First of all," he said, "I've been on this earth for so many years." He said, "Now I know your mom and dad and your grandpa and grandma and all of them, and your grandma and grandpa and your mom and dad, they believe this way. They are Catholics. They are certain, they believe like this, and their parents and their parents and their parents' and all of them, they all believe it. Now you mean to tell me that you know more than they do?" That's what
you try to throw that elder type.
Right. Right, exactly. But I told him, well, and the Father quickened me. And I said, my knowledge does not come from a man, from man. I said, my knowledge comes from above.
Or tradition.
Yeah, or tradition. My knowledge comes from above. Yahuwah teaches me. He's my teacher. He teaches me to read and write in Hebrew and to speak it. He teaches me in English and Spanish. He teaches me in every language. And it's not from me. I said, so the Ancient of Days is smarter than all of my ancestors put together. So I just wanted to say that.
Good. I'm glad you brought that up. Because we get that from our parents, our grandparents. My mom threw that on me. And then I threw it back and told her, your ancestors are Yehudi. You never been gone. The only reason you went to Catholic Church is with your sister, and you went there because of the boys, and the food, and the clothes they give away. You know, what they call it, the Catholics used to have those celebrations. Unlike us, I'd gone to them when I was a little boy, checking out the little chiquinitas. I used to call them chiquinitas. There's no such word, right? That means those little cute girls, Spanish girls, right? And so the thing is, and I shared with my mom, she said, who told you that? Well, Tia told me. You guys were never Catholics. You guys went there for the boys and the food. You know what I mean? And then you try to force us and we reject it, you know, later on in life. We got away from it because it wasn't in our birth certificate. It wasn't in none of that, okay? And then I told my mom, I said, if you think you're such a good Catholic, I heard from a Catholic priest that a good Catholic reads their Bibles. She went, Mia, who tells you? Telling me? No, if you're a good Catholic, you're supposed to read your Catholic Bible. Blow the dust off your Catholic Bible, start reading. And you know what happened 2 years later? She started becoming a Christian because she started reading the Bible, even though it was Catholic. She started seeing things. And eventually, she became Messianic. Eventually, she came out of Catholicism and Christianity. It was still a little bit kind of a, favor of Christianity, Messianic. And she passed away. But she knew the name of the Father and the Son. Okay. And my sister and my other family, they all started changing because of my transition journey. They followed the journey with us. Okay. And I just went to visit one of my in-laws passed away. I went to visit my cousin, my favorite cousin, Peggy. And she had her family and grandchildren there. She says, that's right. I know it. Our last name's Amaya, and Mayas are Jews from Spain. She flat out said it to her family. We're all Jew. We're not Catholic. Because they had a force to be Catholic, get on the boat to escape the Inquisition.
Exactly. So back in the old days in Spain, what they would do, or in Portugal, so first it was going on in Spain, but ultimately the Yahudim that were in Spain got kicked out, and many of them went to Portugal. Portugal's Inquisition had not started yet, but it was coming, and these people knew that. So they would go to so during this time the Spanish was conquering the New World. So and a lot of these Yahudi were shipbuilders, okay, like the Phoenicians. They were shipbuilders.
Christopher Columbus.
Yeah, they were. So I have a great grandfather who was actually in the Dominican Republic, which back then is called Santo Domingo, and they had a contract with King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella to supply them ships and supplies. So they were actually selling ships and supplies for people to come over to the New World. They were trying to how do you say this? Conquer the New World. What is a better word for conquer? They were getting all, they were trying to inhabit it. It was they were trying to inhabit the New World. So and along with them were coming, not all, but a lot of shipments of Jews. But what happened is they would get them in the town square, and the priest, the Catholic priest, would come out there, and just like they did, on Mount,
the doorway of the boat, you can't get on the boat.
Yeah, they would sprinkle the holy water on you and call you a nuevo cristiano, and that you. So just the same way when the house of Israel went to the mountain of Yahuah, and Yahuah told Moshe to take the blood and sprinkle it on the people, and this is the blood of the covenant. That's the same way, okay? Because these people literally took off their talits and put on the Catholic robes. So they'd have the same similar. It's a mirror image of the service, the Torah service. Anyway, so they would sprinkle HOL water on them, and they would declare that they were Nuevo Cristianos, and they would get on the ships and they would come to the New World. And then a lot of them, once they got here, they were running from the Inquisition. The Inquisition followed them to the New World, and a lot of them ran up through that were in La Casa de Nuevo León. Nuevo León was the state that's in Mexico, for Monterrey is called the new lion of Jerusalem, the new lion of the tribe of Yehuda. Okay, a lot of them were going up into El Paso de los Judíos. El Paso de los Judíos means the passage of the Jews, and they were going up into New Mexico, where they found those writings up there in those rocks. So there were, anyways, there's a lot of history there, but this is what was going on. They were sprinkling them, and they were sending them over here. They were sprinkling them with the HOL water of the Catholic covenant. That's what they were doing. That's and right. they were so when they got here, I have records from the library in Corpus Christi, Texas, of my ancestors being asked, well, who are you? Because he had to go to court. And they said, well, one of them said, well, I'm a Nuevo Cristiano. I'm a Nuevo Cristiano from Portugal. Okay. And me and my brother came here as Nuevo Cristianos. And his brother was accused of on HOLY Thursday of stabbing a cross. He did not want to be Christian. Anyway, there's some. I know it sounds crazy. Yeah. Well, no, his brother winded up being burned in the quemadoras in Mexico City. Anyways, so the Mayas, I'm sure, are in that. You know, the one thing that the Catholics, that the Spanish and the Portuguese did very good, because they had come from the tribe of Yehuda and from Israel. The one thing that they did very good is they had scribes, and they wrote everything down. So a lot of this information, you have to dig and look for it, but it's there.
They even with pride and great arrogance, when the Jesuits excommunicated or killed or burnt our ancestors, it's documented who they killed and the date. They burned them as a witch, they burned them as this, or burned them as a Jew, you know.
So a lot of Carvajal, what was his name? His name was Luis de Carvajal, I think was his name. He came over here with a lot of Sephardi, and a lot of them got killed, including him, and he was the governor of Nuevo León. He was the governor, and they killed him too. And the Inquisition, executed him and his family.
A lot of the Yehudi rabbis that are into mysticism, they took off their clothes, became priests.
Right.
They became Catholic priests, disguised ultimately to move about. They were killing their own, some of them. There's
a lot of them were. Well, so the whole thing was about the belief. What was the belief? There was a fight. There's a pull between, so that the truth would not go out. You know, Hasatan put the muzzle on the mouth of these people who were proclaiming the name of Yahuwah. It's all of Yahushua HaMashiach. Hey, don't say that name. Do not say that name. You are going to say Jesus and not Yahushua HaMashiach. So the concept of Mashiach, it comes from the Torah. Yahushua is all in it. So but they don't want people to know that. So anyways, this is where people got persecuted, was for speaking the truth, not for being Jewish. Okay, let me say this again. So the people that were being persecuted during the Inquisition were people who believed in HaMashiach, but they were Yehudi, the tribes of Israel, and they believed in HaMashiach. They would make little signs on their door. They would make like Jacob's ladder. They would put a ladder, and the ladder, on top of the ladder, there would be Malachim up there. If you saw that on the door, that meant that people who believe in Yahushua HaMashiach lived there. You know, because Shema Israel, Yahuah Eloheinu, Yahuah Echad. because Yahuwah is Echad. He is one. He is
Yes.
one. I and my Father are one in the same. They want you to believe in a Trinity, but Yahushua HaMashiach says, I and my Father are one, Echad. There's only one Ancient of Days. There's only one, okay? It's not two different individuals. It's one. And this is the whole Torah, is that Yahuwah loved the world, that he came down in the flesh. And this is a great mystery. He came down and he gave himself up for us to teach us the way that we should go. I don't want to get too excited here.
Yeah.
But you know what? The rabbinical, you know what? I'm not going to say that because I don't know that. The Catholicism, or whatever you want to call it, the system of the beast muzzled the mouth, wanted to shut them up, and started to kill them off. So all of those, so the first church, forgive me, Father, the first Kehillah, the first ones that believed in Yahushua HaMashiach, who were filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, who knew the secret of Yahuwah. See, because Yahuwah gave them the secrets, okay, and they knew, and they were spreading the Besora and telling everybody who he was. Those the beast came after them, and that's where Yahushua HaMashiach Nabuah, he gave he told the story of the young girl who is almost at death, and the older lady who has an issue with the blood. See, she has an issue with the blood because she is not believing in HaMashiach. So she's hemorrhaging and having an issue with the blood. No matter how much sacrifices she burns to Yahuwah, she's not believing in HaMashiach. So it's not counted as righteousness to her. HaMashiach is now our righteousness. Okay? So and the little girl is at the point of death. Remember, he leaves, she touches his garment, the older lady. I know I'm speaking in parables. His Zizits. I'm speaking in parables, but look, she touches his Zizit. And when Yahushua HaMashiach said, I felt the power come out of me. Okay? The power, why? Because of the blood, the issue with the blood. So he said, that's why Yahushua said, I wanted to gather them all to me, but you would not. You would not. So they put him to the stake. Okay? But the Ruach HaKodesh came and visited our ancestors, and the Ruach HaKodesh was poured out on our ancestors, and they went out spreading the Besora. But then Hasatan and the beast system killed them off, and now it was almost at the point of death until Yahuwah made known to us, this generation, now you and me, made to us known, made his name known to us, his esteem, his name, and gave us back the Shabbat. Gave us back the Shabbat. And okay, brother, I'm going to stop right there.
Good. It's good. And it's good he brought that up, because see, when you practice 100% rabbinical Judaism, you're hemorrhaging. You can't produce babies. You're bleeding out. And once she touched the garment of the Mashiach, right, it stopped. Once she believed the Messiah, she added Messiah to the picture of the Torah of Moshe, and the bleeding stopped. Okay, so in other words, she could have pre-produced if I don't know how old she was, but her system started to function again. Her productive system was out of course, out of whack, because she was practicing not Mashiach. She wasn't believing in the Mashiach. When she believed in the Mashiach, her system functioned.
That's the old bride. That's the old house of Israel.
Started to work again.
Right.
So symbolically, from then on, the people that are Yehudi and believe in the Mashiach, the reproductive of Yehudi started to work again. But the rabbinical Jews get jealous and want to keep all they can.
Right.
They want to brainwash and steal and convert people, not produce people. There's a difference from adopting a child and producing a child. Sometimes you adopt a child and you can completely re-educate them and convert them and make them completely understanding of Torah, but sometimes they go astray because they're not your offspring. Sometimes you have offspring and they'll go astray.
Well,
But that's symbolic. That's understanding that she touched it. She believed it. She said, I want to believe. Show me him. She touched the hem of his garment. She believed that he was Mashiach. And she touched the 10 Commandments of the Zizits.
Yeah,
You know,
he told her, go and sin no more.
Go sin no more.
Yeah, so in the whole story, when you read that story and read it methodically and slowly for days until you understand it, this story is speaking, I believe, about the bride that was to be. And the system of the beast came and squashed that. And the little girl is the bride who is to come, who is now, who has come back into the Torah, come back to the Shabbat, come back to calling on the name. Okay, she was revived. Okay, she was revived. They all laughed when Yahushua said that she don't cry, she's still alive. And they all laughed at him.
That's a different girl. That's the little daughter.
That's a daughter. Yes.
That was the girl that died and Yahushua raised her from the dead.
Right.
A young maiden.
Right. So they came and told Yahushua, if you had been there or if you had come earlier, she would still be alive. And he said, no, when he got there, he said she's still alive. And all the people that were there weeping and that,
she sleeps.
He said she sleeps. I'm sorry, you're right. And so when he said this, they all laughed. Just like today when you say, hey, we're the revived house of Israel. We're believers in Mashiach, and we are engrafted into the house of Israel. What do they do to you? Do they clap for you and say, yay, okay? No, they laugh at you. They laugh at you and me and all of us. Yeah. And they say, oh, you're not a Jew, man. That's, they come up with all, but you know what? It's really them that are not. There's only one way to the Father. How is that one way to him? Through HaMashiach. Okay, but they're not going to the Father through HaMashiach at all. Okay, they're doing some other stuff. I don't want to get into all the. I don't want to slander anybody. I just want you to be encouraged that what you're doing and what you believe in is true. Do not believe the lie. Okay, do not believe the lie that you are not who you say you are. I need all of you to believe. All of us to believe. I need for all of us to come together and to believe. All of us who believe in Yahushua HaMashiach. The scripture says it, that one day that we'll all come together and we'll talk with each other. And we'll say, yeah, let's go to Jerusalem. We're the house of Yahuwah. We're the house of Israel. So we are Zion. We are Zion. We have HaMashiach. We have the Kohen Hagadol enthroned in our hearts. Okay, we are the children of. It says it like this in English, but it's not. It's not true. It's not the right name. It says that it calls us the children of Zion, but it's really Zion. That we are the children of Zion. The Zion is the place where is the city of David. Okay, where the king was enthroned physically, but spiritually speaking, you are Zion, where Yahushua HaMashiach is enthroned in you. And Yahuwah told David that there is that he is so great that the universe could not contain him. When he wanted to build him a house, he said, the universe cannot contain me, but I'm not going to allow you to do it. I'm going to allow your son to do it. Anyway, so today we are, Yahushua HaMashiach is enthroned in us, and all of us together, not one by one or separately, But when we all come together, we are the throne of Yahuwah. Yahuwah sits on our Yahuwah lives inside of us. Did not Yahushua say that? Me and my Father are going to come to and make our stay with you. Did he not say that? So so who do you have living inside of you?
All right, so now we get back to the topic.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. It's all edifying. It's all building up. And where you see Presbyterian or presbu. Now, elderly means presbus. Plus, you see BUS right here, but BUS is really presbus. The U is a double O sound. Is a double O sound. Yahushua. So presbus means elderly, older. Señor in Spanish, but that's still not accurate because when you go back to presbyteros, right, it's someone that's ordained. It's someone that the other people recognize his wife, if she's still alive, the children and grandchildren. So there's a reputation involved also of good fruit to follow a presbyteros or Presbyterian. Okay? But of course they put Presbyterian, elder, old, Christian. They're throwing a lot of word. Word Christian did not exist even the time of the Greek Brit Kadash. Okay? They were called the Way or Nazarene. There was other words used. Okay? So the next scripture we're going to is in Titus chapter 1, verse 5. Titus chapter 1, verse 5. And you saw the definition down here of the word in Greek. When we get to the Hebrew, it's going to be completely different. It adds more understanding what the word elder means. Okay, for elders. They try to say Sanhedrin, the ordained Sanhedrin 70 in the Timotheus. But let's continue to read. We go to verse 5, and it says, "For this cause left I you in Crete, that you should have set in order the things that are wanting, and ordain elders in every city, as I had appointed you." So he ordained and anointed Titus to go out and go on the mission trip to the diaspora, the dispersed of Israel that believe in the Messiah, visit the shuls, they call synagogues, and ordain elders. There were already elders there. You know what I mean? But now they had to be ordained elders of the Mashiach, understanding of the Mashiach, right? And that meant they had to have, what does it say in verse 6? If any be blameless, the husband of one wife, having faithful children, not accused of rioting, unruly, meaning partying a lot, drinking. Okay?
And
So,
their children have to be taught in the Torah,
right.
and the belief. I mean, it says it right there, having believing children.
And then it goes on, it says, for a bishop must be blameless as a steward of Yah, not self-willed, not soon angry, not given to wang, not a striker, not given to filth and liquor. Now the word bishop here, episkopos. You got Presbyterian, now you got episkopos. It's episkopos, almost the same, but it means a superintendent. Let me move it up here so you can see it. A person that's a superintendent, general charge, they say church, but that's an added word, overseer, okay? Of course, today they call them pastors and senior elders, things like that, okay? But when you dig in the Greek and you dig in the Hebrew, it starts to change the depth. It's not just somebody that's old. It's somebody that lived in the community. He's gone to the shul. That shul converted to the belief of the Messiah. So there are a bunch of Greek-speaking Jews, or there are a bunch of Latin Jews, Roman Latin Jews, that have been converted to Mashiach, but the people knew who they were. They knew they were blameless, husband of one wife. Now, why does it say husband of one wife? Think about it. Think about it for a minute. Well, the reason why, because in Judaism, you can still have more than one wife. According to Levitical law, if you have the money and can afford 2 or 3 wives, according to Levitical, you had to have the money for it. You just marry wives to put them in work. You sit at home. No, each wife had a servant, her own tent, her own room, and she had her own servant to have all that tribe living in your house. Okay?
Right.
So now in Christianity, or should I say, in the messianic belief of the followers of the way of a Nazarene will only have one wife. A Nazarene would not go after multiple wives. It wasn't a sin to have multiple wives. But this is not the topic. But a bishop, superintendent, or an elder cannot, because your flesh is catering to more than one wife. Okay, you're too busy taking care of that business. So you could not be put in a voice, elder, superintendent, leadership position. It's not a sin in the days of the Messiah. But after the Messiah, it stopped. It started separating. Wealthy Yehudi still did it, but if they believed in Messiah, they would stop it. Okay? Because they could not put their commitment into the Iglesia. So when the Messiah came, that legal system of that avenue to have more than one wife was faded away. It was actually faded away. But when the Mashiach age in the house of Israel, in the shuls, they phased it out. But the people that still had wives, they didn't just get rid of their other 1 or 2 or 3 wives. It just kept the favorite. They had to continue to support their wives and children. And it was faded out. They stopped the multiple wives. Now there's the black Hebrew Israelites and other Christian, or should I say, converted Yehudis today that are trying to practice multiple wives again. But they don't listen to the teaching of Shaul. And so because of that, they continue to try to get multiple wives. But most of these guys are living like a harem, and their wives have children from other men, not them. And they're all on welfare, 3 or 4 wives, and they're supporting this Hebrew guy, Israelite in New York or whatever, and they're supporting him, and he kicks back and just reads and studies and does his thing. He's not working, and that's contrary to Levitical Torah. Levitical Torah, you cannot marry another wife unless you're rich enough. Even when Yahushua, so these people today they're not practicing the Torah. They're actually practicing something completely different, right? And they're being very, how should I say, like pimps. They got these women, none of them are the children that they have are theirs, and they're on welfare. If you get 3 or 4 women on welfare and they got 2, 3 children each, I mean, that guy's driving a Mercedes.
Right.
He's living large in a 2-story house in charge. He's pimping. He's not really, according to Levitical Torah, right rule, wealthy enough to afford that many women, right? Now, Yaakov had 4 wives, 2 married wives, 2 concubines, and it came slowly. If you notice, he had 1, then he got 2, and then he got 3, and they got 4. And it came slowly in time in a 20-something year spasm, and he became very wealthy to afford these 4 wives and 12 sons.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It
He
took
was very
time.
wealthy.
He had the wealth to afford it. Even in the laws of the land, they would not allow a man to do that, make slavery of the women.
Brother, can I just read this from verse 10 and for
What book?
so
Where-
right there in Titos 1:10, where it says,
Okay.
for there are many unruly men, senseless talkers and deceivers. This is now this is in the scripture 1998. So it says, for there are many unruly men, senseless talkers and deceivers, especially those of the circumcision,
It's
who
about Yahudi.
right, whose mouths have to be stopped, teaching that they should not teach for the sake of filthy gain. One of them, a Nabi of their own, said, Cretans are always liars, evil beasts, lazy gluttons. This witness is true. Therefore rebuke them sharply, in order for them to be sound in the belief, not paying attention to Yehudite fables and commands of men who turn from the truth. So, wow, what's going on there?
Yeah, and you know the Cretans, they used to go around with a pouch with oil and call on the sun mighty one, Zeus,
Okay.
and lay hands on the sick.
Oh, yeah.
And they were called Christian.
Yeah.
But the word for Christendom, christen, like you christen a ship,
Yeah.
christen a business, it's the same way. When they break the champagne in a business and cut the ribbon, or in a ship, they break the champagne. You are Christendom. You are anointing it to start the service of the ship or the business when you cut the ribbon. Okay. So they are christening. Constantine, when he painted the crosses on the soldier and threw water on them and baptized them, he didn't say, I Christian you. He said, I christen you.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
christen you to operate as a Christian from day on. So the word Christian came from the word christen. You're christening something, starting something.
Right.
Okay.
Or dedicating something.
Dedicating something. All right. It's still a Greek terminology. So the Cretans were the first Christians or to be christened. Okay. They're inhabitants of Crete, or in Greek it would be Kres, okay, with a K. Everything with a K is Greek. Everything with a C is Latin. Okay. So now, as you see on the screen, now when you read the history of these people, they used to go around and call on Zeus, lay hands on the sick with oil. It's amazing, the similarity. Now, I'm sure some of them became believers of Messianic because the emissary were traveling around, you know what I mean? Converting
Right.
so many people. And they probably stopped worshiping the sun and Zeus, right?
Right.
But they still, the practice stayed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's good that you kept reading so we can expound on that. The next scripture is in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 2. Now, of course, in verse 1 is now, Emunah is the substance of things desired for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a what? A good report. So an elder, a Presbyterian, presbyteros, right? Someone that's known, their children know, their wife is still alive, they know the wife, they know the children, they know the grandchildren, they know the reputation that you raise your family to the best of your ability in Torah, and they move and they're now in the position. Because you see, you can't just be an old guy with a beard. If I come to a man say I'm in my 30s and 40s. I would go to a guy in his 50s and 60s that's been in the congregation, and I have trouble with my wife or my children, or I'm going to have grandchildren, and I ask for advice. That elder had to have experience of children and grandchildren to give me advice, right? He's got to have experience.
Right, exactly.
In order to give me sound advice and to teach me, an older man, but I don't have grandchildren yet. You know what I mean? Or I'm barely having children. I'm barely raising them. So it has to be somebody with experience. How could I go to an older man that's never been married and ask for marriage counseling?
Right.
I don't care how much beard he has.
So if
You
you
can't
know,
give me marriage counseling.
that's right. That's right. Just real quick to add to what you're saying. So if you notice, even Moshe, when Yahuwah gave him the name, went to the elders and told them what the name of the creator was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went to the elders first.
Yeah,
So the elders could tell everybody else, because the people would listen to what the elders were saying. They had respect back in those days, unlike today. Yeah.
All the 12 tribes were in Egypt under bondage, but they had oral, and they didn't believe in Moses right away.
No,
Right?
not at first.
Not at first.
No.
So he had to go through the elders that had a reputable reputation and attentiveness, so convince them in order to convince the people. That's why when I talk to people, they want me to go to their Messianic congregation, I tell them this. First of all, before my brother and I or my brother or us go to your congregation, set up a meeting for us with your shepherd and their elders
And the elders, that's right.
before we speak in the congregation. So we can prep them what we believe, what we teach, and get approval. Because if you just go in there and start throwing grenades that God is a German deity,
Right.
Lord D is a pagan Baal, they're going to kick you out.
Right. Right.
So you got to convince the elders and the shepherd first in a private session of teaching and ministry. So the floodgates of the door would open up.
Right. Right. So when Moshe, after he told the elders that they were that the name was Yahuwah, and then they got together, the elders and Moshe, and went to Pharaoh and told him that Yahuwah said for them to let him go.
And what did Pharaoh say?
He
I
said,
don't know who this is.
yeah,
Check the list of
Yeah.
5,000 mighty ones.
yeah,
Oh, his name is not there. I don't know who this dude is. You know,
Yeah.
who is this mighty one? You know,
yeah.
that's what he said.
Right, exactly.
He said he did not know Yosef, the mighty one of Yosef. That's what it says.
Well,
He didn't know the mighty one
right.
of Yosef. Now, his grandfather knew the mighty one of Yosef.
that's right. He sure did. That's why he honored Yosef,
Yeah.
because he knew he was real. So the problem is that today the elders are telling the people that if you do this, then you should have wooden spikes hammered through your head. I mean, at that point, you don't want to listen to that elder, okay?
Yeah.
Because he's speaking something crazy.
Well, what brother's saying is that's in the Mishnah. If you speak the name of the Father or Yahushua, they spank you. They beat you up the first time. They beat you up more the second time. But the third, was it the third or fourth? I don't know
I
which
can't
time.
remember what it is.
They'll tie you up and they'll get splinters and nail it to your head. You're dead. Speaking the truth.
Crazy stuff. Yeah,
Who taught the Catholics how to torture?
yeah,
They put a throw. When you take splinters of wood and you nail it to a person's head, what are you making them? The crown of thorns. That's what you're putting on there. All right. So it says, obtain a good report. So when you look that up in Greco, marturejo, to be a witness, evidence, bear record, obtain, good, honest report, well reported of, testimony. So these elders are not just some old dude walking into the neighborhood.
No. Can I read something real quick, brother? Just
What verse?
well, I just want to read. You don't have to go there. I just want to read Exodus 3:18,
All right,
where it
go
talks
for
about elders. It says, "And they shall listen to your voice, and you shall come, you and the elders." Now, this is Yahuwah speaking to Moshe. "You shall come, you and the elders of Israel, to the sovereign of Mizraim, and you shall say to him, Yahuwah, Elohim of the Hebrews, has met with us, and now let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness to slaughter to Yahuwah or Eloah." But he took the elders with him. Yahuwah commanded Moshe to take the elders with him, not to go over there by himself. Because like you said, he would have just kicked them out. Yeah. He said, hey, he has met with us. The Elohim of the Hebrews has met with us as witnesses.
Okay, what chapter, book, and letter that was?
That was in Exodus 3:18, chapter 3, verse
Okay,
number 18.
I'm right there to it. As the people could see, I pulled up elders of Israel. You got Exodus 3:16 and 3:18, just like Brother said. Okay. He didn't write it down. I didn't write it down. I just typed in elder of Israel and look what we got.
Yeah.
We got the scriptures in Exodus. There's actually 223 matches and 46 verses. But we're going to look at the verse 3:18, like he said. Okay. And look what it says. I'm gonna click it. 3:18. It says 20. It comes from the root word. It's the root word 2204, which we're going to go to it. But let's look up 2205. Means old, number one. Age, number one. Two, ancient man, elder. But look as you go to the end, a senator. In modern English, let's look up Hebrew. One was called Zakan. The other one in 22 is Zakhen, with a Q sound. To be old age, waxed old. And now, what is a senator? A senator, you think somebody could have run for election as a senator and nobody knew his reputation?
No, they knew who he is.
You know who he is? A senator is not just an old man. It's somebody that is a representative of that clan, that tribe of the 12 tribes. He's an elder. The 12 elders went with him.
Right. Now think about that and think about who we have in office today here in the United States of America. Are those elders?
Those
Yeah.
senators are called elders.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah. They're supposed to be reputable and people that are highly respected in their community and who perform right ruling. Basically, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a senator, he gets voted in to keep the Melech, or we call president in this country, president of a corporation, on check, to keep the Senate on check, keep Congress on check, and do the right rule. But none of them don't even know the right rule.
Right.
They're not even real elders.
Right.
Their children are becoming gay. Their children are off course.
Right.
Their grandchildren are off course. They never taught right rule to their children.
Well, look at the son of who's in charge of this country today. I was really grieved years ago when the second term of Obama is when I really found out, when I came into the name and to the truth and everything. And I asked the Father, I was like really grieved, saying, Father, why do we have this man who, why is he there in the White House as a leader? And even today, we'll skip from Obama, we'll skip Trump, and we'll go to Biden. And I said, Father, what is going on with this? The Father said, well, I'm giving the people what they want. The people are wicked. So I'm giving them a king that
reprobate mind.
Right. I'm turning them over to a reprobate mind, giving them a king that represents them. Not you, not us, but most of the people out here, do not want to know about right ruling. They don't want to know about none of this. They don't want to do the Shabbat. They have no interest at all in the things that we do. Go ahead, brother.
So one of the things is, so we know that an elder in Hebrew is like a senator that has a testimony, a witness, reputable. There's witnesses around him. So when he speaks, he's a voice for the clan, the tribe, or the government. So Moshe or any other that's in the Tanakh, in verse 16, go and gather the elders of Israel together and say unto them, Yahuah Yah of your fathers, the Aloha of Abraham, Ishak, Yaakov, appeared unto me, saying, I have truly visited you and seen that which is done to you in Egypt. So as brother was saying, before he can give it to the congregation, he has to give it to the elders and convince them, because or they'll have a revolt. How many times they think it was twice or 3 times they wanted to stone Moshe?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's at least 2 times.
Yeah.
At least
So,
twice.
in the same way it is today, somebody cannot come in and and even come to our fellowship and start saying, well, you don't do this, you don't that. So who are you? You know, I never met you. I met you through a chat, or you're joining this thing, but you're not a part of the ministry, elder. And so we have to understand there's a distinct difference. Now, when the elders are killed during a massacre of an invading Syrian army, whatever, our Babylonian army, the next generation have to rise up. The new ones in their 30s and 40s, the new youngsters, they might not have grandchildren yet. You know, some might not have children. And they might have to act as an elder until they mature as an elder, as a Presbyterian, as a presbyterus, right? As a zakan, right? They had to go into that level of reputable reputation that when their voice speaks up, everybody gets silent, quiet, and listens. And that elder could convince the people to obey what Moshe of Torah is saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's still active. The writings of Moshe, those 5 books, is still there for us. So, but of course, in rabbinical Judaism, they have their own rabbinical Torah called the Mishnah, Ramban, and all the rest.
Right.
13 volumes, 16 volumes, 29 volume books of Babylon Torah, Babylon Talmud. And so this is to verify what an elder is, okay? And so even today, we practice this according to, and it works. I had a guy that wanted me, invited us, and I told him, well, first get with your shepherd, watch my videos, and then invite me to meet with him, eat dinner, and then once he wants to meet with his elders, then we'll go to the congregation. If you want me to go and be a guest, I'll go a guest, and I'll just be quiet so people can get to know me. But you as an elder of your congregation, you have to get your pastor to meet me first.
Right.
You're not just going to invite me, because we have experienced those type of experiences before,
Right.
where they just invite us and then we speak and then they don't like what we share. You know what I mean? We want to prep everybody according as it's written in the book of Exodus, and prep people to be prepared to go into their home as a community fellowship during Shabbat or into a messianic congregation. And no one that just because he's got a long beard could turn around and say, well, I'm the eldest here. You got to listen to me. You know, we had this happen not too long ago. Guy come on our little podcast, Zoom podcast, and he tried to push brother aside. My brother is a grandpa. This guy, we don't even know if he has children or a wife. You know what I mean? And he's over here trying to tell us what to do in the middle of our fellowship. So we want to verify it and kind of make it clear for you. All right, so we completed the topic of the understanding of what it says in Hebrew and Greek for elder and who they are and what they are, a husband of one wife and great reputation, and their children, the grandchildren. The community knows who they are, and the community will be your fellowship. So the house of fellowship you fellowship with. If they're in another fellowship, you might not know who they are unless you know the covering of the shepherd, and you know they have reputable. Because when I'm with Gary L's congregation, he would point out his elders, and then I would know them. You know what I mean? When he used to come to our fellowship, I would point out my elders. You know what I mean? So it's like raising your hand to be aware who's your elders of the reputable reputation to be an elder. You can't just call them elder just because they're old and got a long beard.
Or you can't get a bunch of young kids to be elders either.
Yeah.
Which is happening today. In our government, you have all these young progressives that have no chokmah, no understanding of any kind of right ruling.
I mean, some of those, like the five, they weren't even married.
Yeah.
One was married, divorced, married her brother to get into the country. You know what I mean? With a fake ID stuff. And they didn't even have a husband and children. Well, she did have a child before, but from another husband.
Well, you have one man who is who's in the cabinet of the president, who goes home to his husband.
His husband.
Yeah, and this is not an elder, a senator. This is not a mayor, a mayor. Yeah, he used to be a mayor. This is not. This is it's really an abomination before the Father.
Right.
And but you know what? The Father told me when I prayed to him that he's giving the people a representation of who they are.
Right.
You know,
their fruit
yeah,
is showing before all. Look at that other one they just found out in the Republican Party. He used to be a transvestite, a tranny.
Right.
You know, but he says, look at, I changed. I'm not that no more. I'm not going to quit. You're going to have to vote me out.
I believe that there's room for forgiveness. There is. I believe that the Father forgives everyone who came out of this, but there is no room for it once you know, once you're in, and if you don't have no, how do you call this, conviction.
Yeah.
These people have no conviction.
Moral compass, conviction.
Yeah, they have none of that. You know, the wicked are just becoming more wicked, and Yahuwah's allowing this because of the wickedness of the people who don't want to, you know, the name is out there, and keeping the Shabbat, it's out there. All of this information is out there, but the people refuse to do it. So, and they call what's evil good, and they call good evil. You know, so this is really, you know, this is really, it's kind of like back in the day when the people said, we want a king, a melech of flesh and blood. And we don't want you, Yahuwah. We want a king of flesh and blood, just like the rest of the nations. So what has happened? Yahuwah gave them a melech of flesh and blood, and he gave them
first pick. Yeah. Did not have a lineage.
Right.
So Shaul got kicked out. He only got 2 anointed oils, when David had 3 anointed oils, like our Mashiach. They had different sessions of anointed oils. So, and there's a group out there right now, you probably heard of it. One of the brothers alerted me on it. There's a group that are going online on YouTube. They're becoming very famous among Christian Catholics, and they're called Debunk Yahuwah. Debunk Torah, debunk Yahushua, debunk. Jesus and Jesus is the right way to say his name. And they're going around debunking. They do all these fake debunking with Greek and Latin And to me, when I saw it, I said, you're Catholic. You have the right to choose Catholic, but you're not a follower of the Mashiach, the Messiah, the Hebrew one that walked this earth. You're the follower of Zeus. And they're going around trying to debunk us in little 3 10-minute videos. And the way they're doing it is, it's so laughable. It's almost like the Democrats when they say something's true when it's false. You know what I mean? It's so laughable. And I know they're relying on people that are not going to research. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're relying on people that are just not going to research. We research.
Yeah.
We research.
Well, people who don't research, there are what do you call this? They love the lie and hate the truth. They don't care anything about truth, so they don't look for truth. They just rather believe the lie.
Right, right. So we're going to go ahead and close because it's time to Shabbat for us over here in Arizona. A little hour ahead of some of you, or some are 2 hours ahead. And but we thank you for attending. We're going to go ahead and close in prayer. We thank you for tuning in for this exciting teaching. Abba willing, you want to close in prayer for us, brother?
Yes. Father Yah, we give you thanks for this day, Father. I ask that everyone who's listening to the sound of our voice was fed today, Father, and that they go away and study and look up the word elder and in the Torah and find out exactly what that is. Father Yah, we give you esteem. We ask that you keep everybody safe and that they have simcha in this yom, in this week, Father, and that they come back and see us next Shabbat. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, we give you great esteem. Hallelujah.
And remember, if you can't fight a friend, invite an enemy.